Okay. Hello, artists. Mrs. Castle here, and we're going to talk about what's going to be on your table and how to use the acrylic paints. Okay, so on your tray, there's going to be a water dish. You will need to get your water like we did with the watercolors. There's going to be palette knives for each person at your table. And then there's going to be brushes. That's all that's going to be on your tray when you're using acrylic. So you're also going to need a paper towel, not much longer than your tray. That'll last a while if you use the paper towel efficiently. There's also going to be some books on your table. These are old books that nobody needs anymore, or nobody was checking out of the library, and we're going to use them for a mixing palette. Okay, so, I'm going to take some of my red. I don't want very much. And I'm wiping off my excess on my paper towel so my palette knife is clean. And I'm going to take a little bit, I'm just going to take a touch of white. Just a little bit of white. And I'm going to mix it with my red right on my book until it's all one color, and I'm trying to keep it kind of in a contained area. Okay, I'm going to wipe my excess off because I'm going to keep adding white with my palette knife, and I don't want to mess up my white, because I'm going to use it again for another color. Then I'm going to paint my pink, my dark pink, in my box. I'm going to rinse my brush by tapping it on the bottom of the water container. And I've still got some pink in there. Now I'm wiping off, touching off my, I'm hating that brush, keep switching. Then I get the excess water off on my paper towel. So for my third color, I'm going to get another little touch of white, and I'm going to mix it with my previous pink. Now, when you're mixing your colors, you want to make sure that you're making enough to last for most of what you're doing. And we're just painting little squares here, so you don't need a whole lot. But since we're making lighter and lighter colors, or lighter and lighter tints, you really want to start with enough. Another little amount of white. This will be our last one. And you could keep going and going and going and going until you have no more red left. But since we're just painting a small square, we're going to start with a small amount of red and a small amount of white. And we're adding the white to the red. Actually, I'm going to change my mind. We're going to do five colors, or 5 tints. 4 tints plus and a square that's the color that you're starting with. And I'm rinsing my brush in between each one. I am not mixing with my brush. I'm using the palette knife. So I'm going to get another little bit of white, and I'm mixing it in. I'm just mushing it around, scraping it and kind of squashing it into a single pile. This will be our last pink. Your original color plus 4 tints. That's what we're going to do. And I'm going to want you to do that twice. There were people who did not listen or watch the whole video. They with the watercolor, they assumed they were done after they made one set of tints. Not so. Okay. 1 tint, 2 tints, 3 tints, 4 tints. Okay. So now we're going to do the same thing with our purple. Okay. Notice after I rinse and I touch off, I get the excess water off, I don't see any more pink, and I can wipe it on my hand. There's no color in my brush. That's when your brush is clean. Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit of purple. I'm going to put it on my paper, in my book, wipe off my palette knife, and I'm going to get a touch of white, and I'm going to mix it in until it's all one color. No streaks of white, no streaks of purple. It looks all one color. I'm going to wipe off my palette knife. If your paint starts to get dry, you can just get a drop of water. This is my first color, so I'm gonna, or my first tint, so I'm gonna skip the first one and I'm gonna go back and paint the first one purple. I forgot. That's when it's feeling kind of rubbery. So that's when a drop of water is gonna make a difference. Like when I painted that one time, or after I painted this way and I painted this way, and it looked like we could see a lot of the paper through, that's looking watercolory. And we want our paint, our color to be nice and solid. Oops. I can see there my brush was not clean. When I touched my brush to my paper towel, there was still purple in it. That's better. Letting the acrylic dry in your brush will ruin your brush. So a little bit more white. I'm going to mix it in until there are no streaks. Wipe it off. I'm going to paint tint number 2. And kind of like with the watercolor, I'm just using the end of the brush. I don't see, I am not, even if you look at the brush, my brush is not, only has paint about halfway up. It doesn't have paint all the way to the silver part. That's called the ferrule. Paint doesn't go all the way up to the ferrule at all, ever. Okay, a little more white. This is our last tint. No, I have 2 more because I decided. Color plus 4 tints. Rinse and 1 more tint. A little more white. And our last tint. You can use whatever color you want when you make your tints. I just happen to grab purple and red first. You can use whichever colors you want to first. So that's making tints. We'll talk next time about making colors darker and shades. Thanks for watching. Bye.